Dr. Ashanta White. Shout out to my
Welcome
super
back.
producer.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Nyron Sanders, and my co-host D. Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning, good morning, good morning,
Yes,
New Orleans.
I am back, y'all. And let me tell you something. Y'all are spoiled rotten. That's all I'm gonna say. Spoiled rotten.
I'm glad you're back.
Listen. I can't miss a moment because somebody gonna text me, asking me where I wasn't feeling good, y'all.
That's right. People looking for you. They're not looking for me.
No, well,
they're looking for
you were
you.
here. That's why they weren't
They're looking for you.
You were here.
But they did want to know if you were okay.
I am.
You know, they did want to know if you were okay.
I'm gonna let y'all know something. And I thought the listening audience knew this, but I have a chronic issue that happens all the time. And sometimes I can manage it. Sometimes the I was too uncomfortable, and so I just couldn't swing it. But trust me, when I can get here, I'm here. I do not enjoy missing work. I like to be where I'm supposed to be. And so, but it's good. It's good to be missed, though, Will. If people ain't looking for you, something wrong.
Yep. Well, you were missed. You were missed.
Thank you for holding it down.
You know, as you know, I said a little prayer for you.
Let me tell you something.
with-
Somebody told me that at the NOF meeting, because we're going to talk about the NOF meeting.
Okay, good.
And I was like, I just didn't feel well, but I appreciate
The
it.
Lord put it in my spirit to do a little something more than just say she ain't here.
Well, listen, I absolutely appreciate it, and who knows, it helped because I also had a responsibility of moderating the NOF monthly meeting that takes place.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the New Orleans United Front. Shout out to Chuck Perkins over at Cafe Istanbul for always availing his space to the community that hosts that meeting. But also yesterday's meeting centered Chuck Perkins because he's now a new author. His book will be out very shortly. The University of Louisiana Lafayette is the publishing house that's putting out Chuck's book. It's a series of poems and essays inside of the book, and it's entitled Beautiful and Ugly Too. Now, forgive me, y'all, because I'm coming off the top of my head. I have no notes about the meeting. I'm just telling you what I remember from the meeting. It was an amazing meeting, well attended, because it was also, in addition to Mr. Perkins and his new book, congratulations again, author. He's an author. The meeting centered on a meet and greet for potential candidates for the upcoming October 11th election. And it was very well attended. Every single seat was almost represented. The assessor is on the ballot and the coroner is on the ballot. We didn't have people representing that office, but the Honorable Chelsea Napoleon was there. She is the civil clerk of court. She was there. Representatives who are running to replace our current mayor, LaToya Cantrell, many of them were there.
The candidates or a representative?
Yes. So the only folk I did not engage with who are running for mayor would be Oliver Thomas and Helena Moreno. I am certain that there are a number of meetings and things that are happening. So I'm, maybe it was a conflict of scheduling, but Arthur Hunter was able to make it. And all of the other folk, I think his last name is Twigs, I want to say. He was there. Renata Collins was also there. Mr. Morris, who used to be over the 911 system.
Yeah.
He was there. So there were, people showed up.
They were at IWO on Saturday.
Okay, because I know, listen, I know there was other meetings going on because Freddie King had to come from a different meeting, community meeting. Delisha Boyd came in from a different meeting. Shorty, the constable Shorty. Ed Shorty. He was there running for sheriff. And so, like, I was hoping to see Sheriff Susan Hudson. I think my hope was that she would show up. I was hoping to see Michelle Woolfolk. But again, I know that there are a number of other meetings and things that are taking place. And so folk are trying to be everywhere all at once. And I know that's extremely hard. But the district seats, folk running for the district seats, they were well represented. JP Morrell showed up.
Ed Shorty and Michelle Woolfolk were both at the IWO on Saturday morning.
Okay.
And of course, Sheriff Hudson has suspended her campaign, so they're on hold.
Yeah, which is why I said I was hoping I saw her because, even though the campaign itself is suspended, anywhere that there's community gathering, I think there's an opportunity to just show up and engage with folks. So I was still hoping to see her. A lot of the folk who are vying for district and at-large seats were also present. I found out yesterday that Pastor Manning from the Broadmoor Church is opposing J.P. Morrell for his at-large seat. That was news to me. I didn't know that until yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that Delisha Boyd is going after the open at-large seat, which is the one currently held by Helena Moreno. She's running for the mayoral seat.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Willard is also
Willard
running.
Were at the IWO.
Yeah, I missed Willard yesterday. I didn't see him, but again, I know that there are a lot of things happening all at one time. So hopefully we'll get to engage all of these folk when WBOK hosts its political forums over at Dillard University. So we'll be sending those invitations out shortly so folk can RSVP to tell us that they're going to be there so we can know how to prepare. But there are a number of people. District A is a
oh my goodness!
It's a field. That's an open seat that is currently occupied by Joe Giarrusso. So there's a number of folk running, and I don't even dare want to mention a name and forget somebody, but there are a number of people running for that seat. I don't know if there's a challenge to Leslie Harris's Council District B seat. I didn't see anyone at the meeting representing B, and I have not heard anyone saying that they're running. I do know that there's someone opposing Freddie King for his council seat. That person did not show up to the meeting, but
I saw him on Saturday.
But Councilman Freddie King was there. Who's that person?
I'm drawing a blank on his name, but it wasn't great when the first thing he said, "Hi, I'm a nobody."
Why is that a thing now? Like it's
like
certainly you're something.
You're somebody.
Jesus is real. I mean, he created you, baby. You're somebody. I mean. I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know. Is that a thing now? I do not know what that is. But when I find out who he is, maybe I can look it up and see if there's any information out there on the challenger for District C. But Freddie King did make the meeting after coming from a meeting prior. The District D seat, I believe, is going to be a huge field as well. I know that Councilman Green is running again for his seat. I'm aware that Kevin Griffin Clark is running for the District D seat. Yep. I know that Leilani Heno, I believe is her last name. She's running for the District D seat. Belden Noonan Baptiste is running for the District D seat. And those are just the people that I know who have declared their candidacy for the seat. I do not know if there will be additional people as of qualifying, which is July 9th through the 11th.
And of course, Senator Bowie is seriously considering taking a look at it.
Well, that's a heavy last name.
Yes, it would be. That would change that race.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't espoused that to me, and if he does, I will be more than happy to share that on air. But I mean, why not? If there's a Bowie in the question, then the field is heavy already. And then for the District E seat, which is also going to be an open seat because Councilman Oliver Thomas is running for the mayoral seat. I know that Cindy Wynn has put her name out there for candidacy. Do you know of any other folk?
There are some other folks. I'm drawing a blank on their names right now.
But listen, the listening audience is very, very astute. So it's 504-582-9422. If we missed anybody, please blame it on our heads and not our hearts. If you do know of anybody who has declared candidacy for any of those positions, please call in and let us know or drop it in the chat and I'll put it out there on air. But those are the folk whom I know are running for some seats on October 11th. And I also found out that they may potentially be some judgeships on the ballot. And I found that out at the NOF meeting. All things happen at the NOF meeting, baby. If you want to be in the know and you want to know what's going on, you need to come to the New Orleans United Front's meeting because that's where all of the information is. But I'm told that there's potentially some judgeships that are going to be on the ballot. And when we are able to confirm those, I will share out with you. But we did have a person interested in a judgeship, and she too also spoke at the meeting. Again,
that probably was Cheryl Howard.
That was Ms. Howard. She was the person who put herself out there as a potential candidate for a judgeship here in the city of New Orleans. So even if it's not this particular election, it is going to absolutely be the election thereafter. So, yes, it was her. And again, I know that there are members of NOFE who are listening in. If I miss anyone or any seats, please feel free to drop it in the chat or call 504-582-9422. But Election Day is October 11th. Early voting starts September 27th. Early voting ends October the 4th. There are some vital dates that you need to be aware of. Please make certain that you're checking your voter status. More often than not, people are purged without knowing that they've been purged. So please do your due diligence. Go and check your voter registration status to make certain that you're registered to vote. If by chance you've been purged, you can re-register to make certain that you're able to vote on October the 11th. So we want to get out the vote as much as we can. I'll say that once again, the mayor's seat is up. The council seats, including the at-large seats, they're up. The assessor, the coroner, civil and criminal clerk of courts are there, and it potentially may be some judgeships on the ballot. Did I miss any seat?
No, not necessarily. And if I'm not mistaken, I know some of you all are more up on this than I am. This is not a regular cycle for judgeships, but if somebody retires, then the seat needs to be filled. And Cheryl Howard is stepping up for a civil district court seat based on a retirement. So she's the only judicial candidate that I'm aware of at this time.
Oh, okay. And I also want to send a huge shout out to the newly elected president of the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club, Mr. Oscar J. Rainey. He is
Rainey.
Yes, he is the new president-elect of the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club. And I do not want to leave out the Namtok crew also over in, and I also say also in Algiers because Mr. Rainey is Algiers. So
Yes,
I want to make certain that I'm clear about that. Zulu is on this side of the river, but over on the West Bank in Algiers, Namtok also appointed or elected a new king. And as soon as I get his name, I had it just a second ago, but I want to make certain that I give some love to the crew of Namtok as well. They also elected a new king, and I'm going to share that name with you as soon as I find it. But shout out to Oscar Rainey, the new president-elect of the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure. Zulu is on a little run right now. I mean,
they are.
A king like me. I hear some wonderful things about the film. Also, Chuck had a shout out for A King Like Me in his speech as he was talking about his book. And so I want to make certain that we show love to all of our organizations who are doing wonderful things in the city of New Orleans. And so shout out to the Namtok. And some folk don't know it's an acronym.
I know.
Some folk just think it's a word, but it's an actual acronym. Some people say it's New Orleans' most talked about crew, but it's New Orleans' most talked of crew. And that's what Namtok stands for. So it's an acronym. So shout out to Namtok over on the Best Bank, because if you ask me, I'm an Algiers girl. Y'all, you see my cup? I got this for graduation. When I graduated, it says Algerian girl, you can change the world, Dr. Ashanta White. It's
all
right. Gold, of course,
very nice, very
because
nice.
I'm big purple. So so shout out to Algiers, shout out to Namtok, and shout out to the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club. The moment I get that name, I'm going to share it out with you for the new president-elect of the crew of Namtok. But back to this idea of how important voting is, because I do know these elections that happen for Zulu, they have actual voting
yes, they do.
mechanisms.
Have campaigns.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So I'm not trying to get on your back like a book sack, but what I will say is I want some of that Zulu vote energy
Absolutely.
at the polls on October the 11th, because Zulu bring the people out.
They got billboards.
Yeah.
They got mini parades.
Listen,
they got picnics.
I'm just saying. I just do a girl a solid if we could get some of that Zulu voting energy to go to the polls on October the 11th. This is a really, really it's
pivotal.
identity defining moment for the city of New Orleans.
It is pivotal election.
And I think it's important for her to show us who she is. And I really think if we could have the energy we had when we voted down those
March 29th.
harmful and
Mhm.
dangerous proposed constitutional amendments, we need to go to the ballot and have that same energy. We are getting ready to elect a new mayor. Some new seats on the council are going to undoubtedly change over. We need to make certain, yeah, they're going to change over because we have folk running for mayor that are currently in these seats. So new blood is going to be in those seats.
Mhm.
We have a duty to stand up in this community and vote for the change that we want to see. And so that's what I'm hoping happens. The assessor is on the ballot. The coroner is on the ballot. Civil and criminal clerk of courts are on the ballot. And folk don't realize how important those offices are. And shout out to the Honorable Chelsea Napoleon for availing herself at the North meeting to talk to us about all of the things her office offers and all of the things that the civil clerk of court is responsible for. And we also have a criminal clerk of court, that is the Honorable Darren Lombard as well. So listen, we want to make certain that we show up. Early voting is September 27th through October 4th. Election day is October 11th. And I hope you don't get sick of hearing it because I'm not going to get sick of saying it. We're going to say it every single day on air. Check your voter registration status. Make certain that you are able to do your democratic responsibility and go out and vote. We have to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to jump into all things news.
All
Whether
right.
it's local, state, or on a national level, y'all stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
I'm back, y'all.
Norman Robinson is back,
Can you hear me now?
and he's taking no prisoners.
Can you hear me now?
Each weekday, Norman Robinson brings you commentary with Off the Top.
The incident was shocking, disturbing, disgusting, disappointing, and sad.
Each weekday, Off the Top with Norman Robinson is heard exclusively right here.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed, stay engaged. Visit nolapublicschools.com today. Again, that's nolapublicschools.com.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 1230 AM on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Everyone. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, holding us down behind the glass, and my co-host, Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning.
Prior to the break, I was telling you guys about the newly elected presidents of two of our Social Aid and Pleasure Club organizations, one being Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club, and the other one being the Crew of Namtok over on the West Bank, that is the Jug Social Club. Congratulations to President-elect Theodore Sanders. He is the new president of the Crew of Namtok's Jugs, Social Aid and Pleasure Club. So LJ, stand up. Congratulations, Mr. Theodore Sanders. And as I said before the break, congratulations to President-elect Oscar Rainey over at the Zulu Club. So congratulations, fellas. But right now, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with Dr. Alacia Hackett, CEO of ABH Solutions, LLC, calling in to talk about her new book, The Diversity Illusion. Good morning, Dr. Hackett. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Good morning.
How you doing?
How things in Richmond?
Oh, yes. Things are good. Very hot, but things are well. Thank you so much.
I think it's hot everywhere, Doc, because, listen, we are sweltering
Yes.
here in the city of New Orleans. But thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your new book as well. Is this your first book?
Well, this is my first book with this subject. I've done books before, but this is the first one talking specifically about diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility.
Hot topics right now.
Yeah. And so is that what informed your title of the book with all of this attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion? Was the title of your book somehow informed by that, the diversity illusion?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I have over two decades of working in diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. My very recent job, I was appointed by President Biden as the inaugural Chief Diversity and Equity Officer for the U.S. Department of Labor. So I was in the Biden-Harris administration. And so seeing how the current administration is really attacking the work that has been done over many years, not just in the Biden administration, but even previously, it warranted just a compilation of some of my experiences and really explaining to people what DEIA is, what it is not, and the illusion behind what we see in the public.
And talking about some of those experiences, were there any personal or professional turning points that led you to write this book, especially after decades of leading diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts at the highest levels of government, academia, and industry?
Absolutely. Truthfully, I didn't plan to ever write a book about DEIA. However, after the inauguration of our 74th president, I received several requests from media, podcasts, just all over the place asking about DEIA. I was traveling across this country, speaking internationally about DEIA. And as I was preparing my talking points and speeches and answering questions, I just thought to myself, this needs to be scaled. I'm only one person. I'm not the only person in this industry doing this work, but I'm one person that's trying to get the message across, trying to create a truth in the narrative. And then I just started compilating my talking points and putting it in a book. And this is where we are right now in my process of saying, hey, let me go ahead and release this so that we could just get some truth out there about what it is and what it is not.
Hey, Dr. Hackett, this is Will Sutton. Thank you for joining us. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to share with our listening audience why you're adding an additional letter to what is more commonly DEI. You add A. Talk about that.
Yes, well, thank you. That's a great question. So accessibility is essentially the availability of accommodations for people with disability. What we did in DEIA was not simply, like, for instance, right now the narrative that you hear in media will cause you to believe that DEIA equals Black communities or Black people, and that is incorrect. That is absolutely not correct. There are racial ethnicities included in our DEIA, and, Black people have been the most excluded in this country, but our DEIA initiatives actually impact positively more demographics than we can imagine. And so that A is for accommodations of people with disability. Something as simple as someone who has vision issues needing a software that can speak the text to them is a problem when it comes down to hiring. It is something that excludes them from certain positions. And so the accessibility is necessary because a lot of our goals and initiatives are so interconnected that we work together. You also hear some of my practitioner colleagues say DEIB, which is belonging, the idea of belonging in a community, belonging in an organization, to feel as they're part of the overall mission of the organization. So A is what I use and push and promote, and so that's the A in DEIA.
Great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Now, you've worked on all kinds of initiatives, including the One Virginia plan with the Department of Labor. Can you tell us about the One Virginia plan and what kind of experiences you have there to develop your perspective on DEIA?
Sure. So the One Virginia plan, prior to my appointment with President Biden, I was appointed as the inaugural Deputy Chief Diversity Officer with former Governor Ralph Northam of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And during his administration, what we did was create a One Virginia plan, which is a strategic plan for diversity initiatives across over 100 state agencies to ensure that not only the employment was diverse, but also the programs and initiatives that those agencies were responsible for. And it wasn't just the state agencies, but then we had our state universities and K through 12 who said we want to be on board with this as well. So that One Virginia plan was the template that was created. We did data analysis. We created measurable outcomes, data-driven approach to everything, and that was implemented into over 106 state agencies during the administration of Governor Ralph Northam. And again, it was the exemplar for the nation. This was the first time that there was a chief diversity officer in a cabinet level for any governor in our country. And so this was monumental. And what we did was lay the foundation actually for what we did in the Biden-Harris administration.
So Doc, here's my question, right? How does your insider experience or your lived experience reveal the ways that diversity, equity, and inclusion can sometimes become performative or symbolic rather than transformational? And the first organization that comes to mind for me are these organizations, the sporting organizations that did so much in the wake of what happened to George Floyd. And now we're seeing some of that being a lot of that being rolled back. Can you talk to us about the symbolic nature of DEI as in the performative as opposed to the real transformational work that you're doing?
Absolutely. One of the things that I talk about in my book, The Diversity Illusion, is the marketing illusion of DEIA. Like you just mentioned, after the death of the murder of George Floyd, a lot of, absolutely, let's be clear, a lot of organizations, companies, corporations wanted to jump on the bandwagon of DEIA. Some of them even said Black Lives Matter. And they did not, and what they did, what you saw was marketing. You saw them produce diversity statements on their websites. You saw them hire chief diversity officers. You saw where they put some money into Black entrepreneurs and Black businesses. But that was performative because what we did not see is the change of power structure. And that's what I talk about in my book. Is like when you have diversity in your language, but your company or your organization is still exclusionary. And one of the things that continues to happen is not approaching the system. So we just add on DEIA at the top. My colleague in Virginia said, this is the analogy she used, and I go across the country and say it, it's just like having frosting on a cake. Everybody doesn't like frosting on their cake. And so if I come in and I see frosting on the cake, I may scrape the frosting off because I just want the cake. And that's how DEIA has been added to a lot of companies and corporations. They just added it on top instead of baking it in like the sugar, the flour, the milk, the eggs, where you cannot easily just separate it when somebody doesn't like it. And so this is the illusion that I talk about in my book, the fact that the systems did not change, the power structures did not change, representation without redistribution, that didn't change. And so essentially it's an illusion of what progress looks like. And so most of it has been performative. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. They feel like, DEIA has been pushed down our throats. But the truth of the matter is, as much as we've tried, a lot of this stuff has just been marketing. And you hire chief diversity officers, but you did not provide them with the resources and the staff to be successful. Then what? You're just hiring someone so that you can, have them as a spokesperson for your company. So that's something that happened with the performative measures that a lot of companies and corporations have had. And then you had some who really tried, to be more inclusive in what they do. And so, part of my book is really talking about how we can become more equitable in everything that we do.
So, Dr. Hackett, this is Will Sutton again. One of the things that you argue is that the way things are going with DEI now, the policies are failing. What do you mean by that?
Similar to what I just stated, the current way that DEIA is approached is someone grabs a certificate, right? I've been doing DEIA since it's been called multicultural affairs, right? Urban affairs. Like, there's been so many iterations. And so someone can grab a certificate now, not to come against the certificates that's out there, and they will get hired. And sometimes those individuals don't understand the need to dismantle discriminatory policies, things that are, how I want to put it, part of the culture of an organization. It's not going to be written. A lot of discrimination is not going to be written in your face. It really is part of the culture, part of the ghost. This is the way we've done things. And so if it's not embedded into the policies of how we do what we do, then what happens is it's not really creating sustainability. It's not going to last. It's going to be easily rolled back, because it's not penetrating the system, the systemic way that things have been done. People have to connect the dots. When our country, or the United States as we know it, was established, the people in the room signing the Constitution of the United States were from one perspective. They were white, male, Christian, cisgender, which is heterosexual men. We don't know if they were out or not. We don't know about anyone with a disability being in the room. We know that they were not Black or Indigenous unless they were servants. There were no women in the room. So that Constitution is based on one lens, one point of view, and that's a white male. And therefore, every system in this country follows that pattern. So when we're looking at policies and rules, regulations, and guidelines, laws, we really have to go in and look to see if there are exclusive language in the documents. And that's where you have to dismantle that and then embed your inclusive language. And a lot of folks haven't been doing that, which is why we see how things are not really changing as much as we try.
Well, I want to stay on the idea of the power structure, right? When we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and now accessibility, I'm going to continue to talk about like universities as well as sporting organizations, where we see the power dynamic is nowhere near equitable. And it's jarring to me how these entities can go against diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility, but so much of their revenue is based on the very people who they do not want to uplift in a very equitable way. So I'm very confused about that. So are you having these conversations with universities who are rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility? I think of LSU first and foremost. They were rolling back theirs with a Black president, which I believe, me personally, this is me talking, which I believe led to his separating himself from the university and taking a job elsewhere. Because the first thing that I said when I heard it, Doc, I was like, there's a Black president there. And they're rolling back diversity, equity, inclusion on his watch. I do not believe that was comfortable for him. And so what do we do for those structures who most of their revenue, most of the reason why they're successful is on the very backs of the very people that they don't want to actually make space for?
Mm-hmm. So I'll say this. I believe that our education systems should be the conscience of our society. They're not just academic learning facilities, right? They are really our cultural mirrors in how we incubate our next generation. So it is important that our education spaces really doesn't, cave under political pressure. DEIA is not political. It's a principle.
Right.
So for our universities and our colleges, what I would say is, I'll also preface this. Some of what we see that is rolling back is not necessarily removing the DEIA. Just to be honest, a lot of it is just rebranding it or taking it from being public. I will say that. And when you have the threat of taking away so much funding that these universities and colleges depend on, then I can understand the caving in, but I just don't think it's the right thing to do, because it's a duty for institutions to model what society can refuse
And what
to fix.
message are we sending to the very people who are supposed to be represented in that rollback or that hidden? Because I heard you say it's not really taking it away; it's just not making it public. But they're rolling it back in a very public way. So what message are we sending to the folk who fall under the DEI or the A in terms of the principle of it all? What message are we sending to those individuals?
Right. I didn't say I agree with it.
No, I know.
But
I'm speaking to them, Doc.
So,
Because if you're rolling it back, right, and or you're hiding it, LSU was scrubbing it from pages on their website and things of that nature. I'm not just picking on LSU, but I'm just saying a large portion of what makes LSU a school that folk want to actually go to is their football program, and a lot of that there are Black young men that make that possible. Even thinking about the NFL, you don't get to just hire Jay-Z and think that that's the be all and end all of DIA. No, there's no Black ownership, right? There's very few Black coaches, and so to me, the power structure has not changed. We have not made any sort of real way in changing the way the NFL does business, but a lot of the talent is Black, but the ownership is not, or the leadership is not.
No, I definitely agree that, the power structures haven't changed. And the message that it sends is that, we're hiding, you're not important. But the other part of that, the flip side of that is, I really don't care what you call it and how you hide it, as long as the work is being done and it's being done efficiently and effectively. Like I said earlier, this work has been changed. The name of it has been changed from Urban Affairs, Diversity Affairs, Multicultural Affairs, Intercultural Affairs, just all over, civil rights. But the work has to continue because this country becomes more diverse. Now, I am just kind of a fighter by nature. So, I like, I don't like to have conflict. I don't necessarily like conflict, right? But I'm good at it. So I try to stay out of it. But I'm an in-your-face person. So, but everybody doesn't have that kind of fight. And sometimes people fight in stealth mode. So I just think that one of the ways that we as people who are on the side of DEIA, our dollars talk. And we have to understand the power of the economics and really understand that the bus boycott was not successful just because the Black people stopped riding the bus. It was successful because it continued to dismantle and affect intercommerce trade. It affected the money. And so until you mentioned the NFL, until people can stand up together and say we're taking a stand, then the power structures will not change like it needs to. There will not be the real redistribution of power. And so for me, I believe that it's twofold. It's you're sending a message, yes, but then the opposite of that is we have to kind of unify and stand up to say, listen, we really demand there be true change and inclusivity.
Absolutely. If you're just joining the conversation, we're talking with Dr. Alacia Black Hackett, talking about the diversity illusion. And Doc, you hold degrees in sociology, public affairs, and law. How has the interdisciplinary background shaped your ability to see through the illusion and develop practical solutions?
Absolutely. So sociology really talks about how society comes in and how it develops into what it is today. I would encourage anybody to really take one sociological class. And then I got my master's degree in public policy just to understand how local government is formed and created. No intentions there is what I wanted to do at the time. But then I spent, about 18 years in higher education in senior administrative roles doing this work of dismantling discrimination in the education systems. And I started understanding that there was something missing, right? And while my colleagues went and pursued PhDs and EDDs, and I started an EDD program, I had a close family member who had a experience with the justice system and was sentenced to time in prison. And I was like, this is not right. This person is innocent, but this language, there was this way that they were able to get them. And I decided to go to law school because I wanted to understand legalese. I wanted to understand the language, and I felt like there were not enough people to interpret the language of law for most of us. And that led me on this path to law school, and it really was eye-opening. It's very different. It's a different language, and I encourage people to really go and understand the language of law, and so this kind of led me to where I'm at today. Doing this work in higher education for so many years, and then having the opportunity in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that led me into government.
Well, I for one am happy that you're here because we
Thank you.
I'm serious. We need more folk on the front lines fighting to make certain that we can level this playing field somehow for our people. But what's one passage, story, or concept from the diversity illusion that you believe will stay with readers for the longest?
Oh, wow. There is a few of them that I love. But one of the things I talk about is discretion. We hear a lot about meritocracy right now, about merit-based hires and how, it shouldn't be based on a person's color or their gender or ability, but we want to hire merit-based. I think you've heard the 47th president talk about that. And one of the things in my book is, talking about how discretion, when you do not have things written in your policy and you open it up for individual discretion, it's a petri dish for bias. And if you think about a petri dish, if you put a petri dish in and it's not in a controlled atmosphere, it becomes fungusy. And so when you don't have things written and understood and policies, and you don't have it embedded into the system as far as equity, then you create this idea of discretion. And when there is discretion, when someone can just take their own personal ideas and say, oh, I want to hire Bob because, we were golfing together, right? Then it's a petri dish for bias, and it can cause so much discrimination, right? And so what I talk about is really making sure that things are written, things are understood and written so that it's fair across the board. And that is what meritocracy is. It is not hire someone for common sense. It is showing that there is a level playing field, that we are casting a wider net. We are ensuring that the communities that need our resources and programs, because data is important, and not just data where they grab everything together and they say people of color, and you got Asian Americans, African Americans, you got Black Americans, you have the Caribbean Americans, you have Indian Americans. You have all of these people clubbed into one category, but when you disaggregate that data, you actually find out who needs what and where we have gaps. So that's one of the things that I really want to talk, just really highlight, is that discretion is a petri dish for bias.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, fascinating. I'm enjoying this conversation. How can people get your book?
Absolutely. My book is available on www.diversityillusion.com. That's ILLUSION.com. You can also go to Amazon to pick it up. And my website is AlaciaBlackHackett.com. If you don't know how to spell my name, think about the country Malaysia and drop the M. So AlaciaBlackHackett.com. And I'm on social media platforms the same, AlaciaBlackHackett.com.
Now, Doc, you want to just take for granted that people know how to spell Malaysia, but okay, we got you covered over here. Don't you worry.
You're in a certain
I'm
strategy.
sorry. I just figured they can look that up real quick. They can look on
Listen,
Google real quick.
we got you covered. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. There's so much about this conversation that is intriguing to me. There's so many parallels to hearing your story and knowing my own story, because there's a love of Black men and Black boys that I have as well. And I know that there are some themes in your book that kind of intersect the social status of Black men and Black boys and how they tie into your themes and how society addresses Black men and Black boys. That's my entire dissertation almost. And so I wanna definitely have an opportunity to talk more with you. I'm definitely going to go to your site and learn some more, but you got to promise to come back. I know you're busy, but promise that you'll come back and see us here at WBOK. And I mean, see us, not talk to us through the phone. You got to come here and take a chair and let us really flesh out this conversation, because I think now more than ever, your expertise is not just wanted, but it's needed in spaces where we're trying to level the playing field. So thank you for your service to that industry, and thank you for what you've been in the girl. That's a big old deal to be in the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah.
Congratulations there.
Thank you.
I love when Black women showing out.
You know, I went in with my head down working, and it wasn't until probably almost to the end I was like, oh, wait, like I'd be at the table with President Biden.
I
like,
did
whoa.
this. Yes.
You know, like, and I didn't just have a position. You know, some people just have titles. Like, I literally have a position of influence. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Come on.
Okay, yeah, this is a big deal. You know, so it was a blessing. I learned a lot. I think, you know, we have to understand that equity is the connective tissue. It's the center of everything. So I was appreciative to have such an influence in really penetrating our government and making some meaningful changes across the board in the labor workforce.
Well, thank you for being a
Thank you.
trailblazer. Listen, we
Thank
were
you for
talking
having
to
me.
former Chief Diversity and Equity Officer at the United States Department of Labor under the Biden-Harris administration, current author of The Diversity Illusion, Dr. Alacia Black Hackett. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we look forward to seeing you. Appreciate you. Have a blessed one.
Absolutely.
Have a blessed one. Look, we have to go to break right now, y'all, but when we come back, we're going to continue talking about it as only we know how. Shout out to Dr. Hackett. I mean, I'm...
Sister's on it, ain't he?
Listen, I'm inspired over here. Shout out to you. I hope you're still listening. We are so very much proud to have had conversation with you, and thank you for who you are and what you do. We have to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to continue talking about it. On the other side of the break, this is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Have you ever imagined yourself on the sidelines of the big game, representing athletes in negotiations, working in sports medicine? We're calling all high school students interested in a future career in sports. The Starting Block, a program created by the family of my dear friend, the late chef Leah Chase, and by yours truly, Arnie Filko, is accepting applications now for our third cohort, which begins this fall. Participants in this prestigious program learn from the experts in sports administration, marketing, broadcast journalism, and more. Run in partnership with Tulane's Center for Sport, the Starting Block incorporates real-life experiences shadowing local sports teams alongside classroom instruction led by the best in the field. If you're a rising freshman, sophomore, or junior across the metro New Orleans area interested in a future career in sports, please visit thestartingblocknola.com. Thestartingblocknola.com now to learn more and to apply for our 18-month free program.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Shotzi White. Shout out to my co-host, Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning.
Listen, I hope Dr. Alacia Black Hackett is still listening because, listen, Doc, you've inspired me. I promise. I love to talk to folk who can light a fire under me, especially colleagues in this work, other Black women. So it's so good to know that there are women really out here breaking glass ceilings. So shout out to you for another time, Dr. Alacia Black Hackett. We appreciate you over here.
Diversity illusion, folks.
Listen,
Look it up.
so Will and I are talking about this raid that shuts down an Algiers strip mall, and Will know I'm from Algiers, so Will said, "Did you hear about the?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, you knew I was really sick because what? What's going on here?"
Yeah.
So there was this raid at the strip mall. Several men were detained. It says federal agents, along with state and local police, converged Monday on an Algiers retail strip, placing several people in handcuffs and shutting a tire shop and restaurant in the shadow of the Crescent City connection. The nature of the raid in the 1700 block of General de Gaulle Drive was not immediately clear. Oh, it's very clear. If y'all bringing that kind of power in there, there's something going.
Serious.
Yeah, that's
something serious is going to. And a notice of pending
clear.
forfeiture from Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams' office was posted on the fence, and this is right over by Gabe's. If I mean, you're way more familiar with Algiers than I am, but I know where Gabe's is. And it's like that's like a whole business set of business operations in that strip area.
But see, I want to understand what did you find? Because you come in with that kind of firepower and that sort of thing to shut something down. This is more than just not following some sort of protocols or things of that nature. Is it a front for something? I need information. You know what I mean? Because that's what it sounds like to me. It says a notice of pending forfeiture from Orleans Parish District Attorney Jason Williams' office was posted on a temporary fence that police erected in front of Gabe's, the closed-down restaurant. A spokesperson for Williams' office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Elba Morris, whose father owns the property near the former Fisher public housing development, said he was seeking details on Monday's actions and didn't know who or how many people were booked. Let me tell you something. That's one of the places that we're talking about. You could get your car so clean, you could eat off the floorboard in that car. Them people could detail a car like nobody's business over there.
That was one of the things shut down was the car wash.
It was the car wash. That's how I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Because now I know exactly what you're talking about. And if you're not familiar with the area, if you're on, if you take the de Gaulle exit like right at the Fisher and you make the U-turn to go back the opposite way, that is where the car wash is. And what I'm going to say is you don't just show up with that kind of force if it's just about like some sort of issue with
code violation.
That's more than code violations. And I know several of my friends were talking about this incident on social media. I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't really engage in a conversation.
Well, you need to take care of yourself. Get back to this.
But I do know that a lot of the conversation was, I'm surprised it took so long. That's what people were saying, right? So, you know, I always tell people, the streets know what's happening long before law enforcement knows, long before people in positions of power know. The community know what's going on. So, you know, it ain't none of my business. But, I mean, if the DA want to tell us what's really happening over there, because that's not just about, you know, like codes and things of that nature. That was too much of a show of force. So tell me what's going on. Is it a front for something? Like, is there trafficking happening out the building? What drugs are being sold? What's happening? Because I do know that particular building has gone through different leadership. I mean, different ownership over and over and over. I do know that. But I can tell you right now, I used to get my car washed there, and a friend of mine used to have a little barbecue spot close to there. Get you some of the best barbecue. Steak Man, that was the name of his business, Steak Man Barbecue. Some of the best food you've ever put in your mouth. But I don't know, Will. I don't know. Just because.
Yeah, we want to know more.
You from LJ? I know you know what's going on.
Well, you know, I mean, that just it's very public. Multiple businesses, major thoroughfare.
Yeah.
Everybody know that strip over there.
But we want to know what's going on because that's how you keep community safe. Like, tell us what's really happening.
Yeah.
Like, you do that sort
and it
of
doesn't
raid.
mean it's not legitimate. It's just
right.
But why is it legitimate? What and what led to this?
Yeah, and also too, you know, we're in an age where people swap people too. Like, they make complaints about certain things, or they have stories about what's going on, and I just want to know that type of show of force. I want to know if my community is safe, because again, I'm from the Fisher Project, born and raised there. Still some folk who live there that I grew up with, and I'm still very close to, and that's very, very close to that community. So what's really going on? So I hope we'll get more answers. But again, like I said, that building, that ownership has gone through multiple businesses and owners. And so, yeah, it was a big raid, big show of force. Yep. So I would like to know what's going on.
FBI, state police, DA's office.
Yeah. So look, I think we're gonna break again right now, Aaron, before we talk to Miss Tammy Jackson. We're gonna break, but when we come back, we're gonna talk to Tammy Jackson, Director of Safety and Permits for the City of New Orleans, talking about the upcoming session that they're holding on the 26th of this month. If you're looking for permits, if you have any questions or things you want to talk about with Tammy Jackson, you should be listening in. We'll have her on the other side of the break. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with New Orleans Public Schools and the Kyle Institute, are excited to announce the launch of a new digital tool on the data dashboard. New Orleans Public Schools, 20 years later, a timeline of recovery, transformation, and growth. The tool provides data, information, and context on the past 20 years of K-12 education in New Orleans, the changes that occurred, and the outcomes these changes helped produce. Visit nolapublicschools.com/K20 to view the tool and learn more.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former First Lady Michelle Obama is urging moms to raise their sons the way they do their daughters. In a recent episode of her IMO podcast, she said boys need to be taught how to communicate and care about more than just themselves.
Teach them about how to deal with a traffic stop, but also teach them how to communicate in a marriage and be a listening father and to be a compassionate neighbor.
Her comments drew praise online. The Supreme Court is letting a lawsuit move forward challenging Virginia's lifetime voting ban for felons. Two disenfranchised voters argue the ban violates an 1870 law meant to prevent racial discrimination. A federal trial is set for October. And Target says it won't raise back-to-school prices and will offer student and teacher discounts starting July 6th. But the retailer is still reeling from a boycott over DEI cuts, with sales down nearly 3% and billions lost in market value. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta White. Shout out to my co-host, Will Sutton. Hey, Will.
Good morning.
And our super producer, Nyron Sanders, behind the glass, holding it all down for us. But right now, we're getting ready to jump into conversation with Ms. Tammy Jackson, Director of Safety and Permits for the City of New Orleans. Good morning, Ms. Jackson. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How y'all doing?
We're good. We're good. So, I was telling our guests that you were going to be on, and I could almost assure you somebody in the comments are going to be talking, having questions about safety and permits. But right now, can you tell us about the upcoming information session your department is hosting on the 26th? What is the main purpose of this event?
Okay, so the main purpose of the event is to make sure that we're educating the public. The mayor has an initiative forward together with 5 key components of strategic framework, one of which is good governance, it's inclusive governance. And so that's what we want to do. We want to invite people in after hours so they can get a good look at all of our divisions. The Department of Safety and Permits has many responsibilities. First and foremost, it's about safety of all the buildings and properties in the city of New Orleans. And then it's about the use. What is allowed in certain places? And that is a common question. And so in our informational session, we divide the divisions up. So you'll be talking to short-term rental, permit intake, healthy homes, the zoning division, and we'll show you key ways to make sure that when you're applying for your business license, it won't take months if you're prepared. And so that's why this education is so important. We have a lot of information online, but people learn different ways. So we want to invite them in and let them know that we have some really dedicated, competent, and prepared individuals that are public servants. They want to help you open your business. They want you to renovate your property the fastest way. They want you to get in your home as fast as they want you to get in the business, and we want you to be successful in your business. So it starts with an occupational license so you can pay taxes to the city of New Orleans.
Listen, I know a lot of folk have some questions about how safety and permits work. So who is your target audience for the session? Is it contractors, homeowners, developers, or is it just open to the general public?
It is all of those, all of the above. Yes, we want contractors to know so they'll know each time if you do it right the first time, this is how you're going to get your client in their home faster. We don't want it to be confusing to mom, pop, or the contractor. So we want everybody to understand the process. And one of those things is like onestop.app.nola.gov. That's our transparency. When your contractor says that they have filed for a permit, you can check all day, all night. You can check on whether your neighbor has a permit all day, all night, 24/7, onestop.app.nola.gov. And you don't have to download. You don't have to create an account. You don't have to log in. You can be as nosy, as informative as you want to be about the process.
You can say nosy because there's nothing. I know I'm nosy. I like to know stuff, so I'm okay with the word nosy. But what key topics or issues will be covered during the information session?
It's really general information about each division, and we're going to make sure that this is your session. You can ask questions. Now, we're not going to focus on individual or personal matters, but if you have a general question about a process, we absolutely want to clear that process up for you. We also have handouts, so you won't go home empty-handed, or if you didn't bring paper and pen and you can't, you don't remember. This information is online, as well as, like I said, we're going to have handouts. And this is also for us to receive information. This is our feedback. We want to know how we're doing, or, what we're doing right or what we're doing wrong. We know that we need to improve. And so the only way we're going to improve is to engage with the public.
Folks, it's 8:07 a.m. If you got somewhere to be at 8:30, you might want to start packing your stuff up and getting going. We're talking with Tammy Jackson, Director of Safety and Permits for the City of New Orleans. Ms. Jackson, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So, as you know, safety and permits is just one of those places where everybody wants to complain about it. and maybe with some good reason. But what are the top couple of things that you have seen where people would not complain if they only knew how to do what?
How to prepare to apply for permits. One of the, I would say, the complaints is delays, and that's on the permit side as well as the license side. So on NOLA.gov, if you go to the department's website, we have information about each and every permit and what the required documents are. Oftentimes, people apply, they know they want to do a renovation, or they've engaged with the contractor and the contractor said, you apply for the permit, right? But we get applications and there are no documents attached. At a bare minimum, if you're doing a construction project, we need to know what's the scope of the work being performed. We need a floor plan. We need a contract by a licensed contractor. Those are the minimum documents needed. And then we can review to say, okay, now we need to know this or that based on the status of the property. If it's a double, we need fire separation. So we need to know different things about different properties.
So Ms. Jackson, here will be the question. Is there like a checklist? So if I'm submitting these things, is there like a checklist to satisfy prior to hitting submit, so that when you're opening things up on your end, you're not opening up, like you just spoke about, an empty application with like no documents attached? Like, is there a way where the system can alert the person who is submitting it that something is missing from the application prior to them hitting submit?
Yes and no. So prior to actually applying, we tell you to review the information which provides a checklist of the required documents. And some people do it strategically. Like if they're going through code enforcement, they'll just apply for a permit. And when they go to the code enforcement hearing, they say, I'm waiting on a permit. It's just taking so long. But we communicate with code enforcement on a daily basis, so they're aware. So it's a dilatory tactic. But the system, the way we set it up, we want everybody to apply for a permit, so we want to be able to tell you what the deficiencies are, but we have to look at it first. So even if we were to say, this needs a contract, put something here, it may not be a contract. It could be a picture of your dog. We've actually got things that aren't the documents that we say were required because they've uploaded something. So we still have to check. And so that's why we don't limit the submission, so we can receive it and then tell them it's deficient. But it would be so much helpful and decrease delays if they only read the checklist and at the very least tried to have those documents. Much like filing your taxes and you know you need your W-2 or you know you may need some receipts and you're ready to upload those items. That's what the list was made for, so that when you're applying for a permit, you can at least have the minimum documents because, you know, each property is unique or each use is unique.
So are there any major changes or updates to the permitting process or safety regulations that the attendees of the June 26th event should be aware of?
So one of the ones, and it's a real prominent one as well, a lot of people want to be their own contractor. And the state allows an exemption for licensure for your residents. If you're building a new residence to live in, or if your current residence and you're working on your current residence or your garage, that is allowed. And a lot of people get confused with residence and ownership. Your residence is simply the property that you live in. You may own many properties. Investment property, you cannot use the exemption from licensure. So that is a big one. The state just gave us a new exemption from licensure in June. Also, there were some state changes in August of last year with the requisite requirements for the different type of contractors. Previously, home improvement contractors could do work on a residence up to $75,000. It has been decreased to $50,000. For commercial properties, it's similar. If you're just commercially licensed, you can only work on a residence up to $50,000. And so those are some of the things that we'll make sure that people understand and know. I suggest a lot to developers or people that own a lot of investment property to actually invest in themselves and become a contractor if they do want to do some of this work.
And this event is on Friday at your office?
It's on
5:30,
Thursday.
is that right?
It's Thursday.
Thursday, oh.
Thursday, 5:30. Yes, 5:30 to 7 Thursday. Thursday, June 26th.
Okay, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And that's the 1340 Poydras Street location?
That's correct, on the 8th floor.
All right, 8th floor, all right. Great. So do you have a limited number of spots? And do you expect people to come and go, or will there be a presentation?
Well, we actually time it almost like it's a speed informational session. So each division you'll spend about 10 minutes with each division. And also, we hope that everyone would stay through the entire presentation to visit with each of the divisions, but we understand that you may have something else and you came for one division, and we can accommodate that as well. You can RSVP at DSP RSVP, and that's the Department of Safety and Permits, acronym DSP RSVP at NOLA.gov.
So is this part of a broader initiative to increase transparency or engagement with the permitting process?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want people to know exactly what we're doing. We want them to be confident that each time they apply for a permit, that they can actually try to figure out when should the next contractor come in. We know that time is money. So we want everyone to get their permits approved and to be able to get their certificate of occupants or certificate of completion in a timely manner, as well as get their occupational license in a timely manner. We want the businesses to open. We want them to contribute to our tax base. So there are no delays over here, but there are rules and regulations, and we will follow them.
So can you just, for the sake of our listening audience, just walk us through like a permitting process real quickly? Can you do that so that folk can know what the steps are in real time?
Sure. I can tell you, let's do a new construction permit. And this is actually part of another initiative that I have, is to make sure that on social media we are engaging. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram, but we will have a YouTube page where we're going to go through the permit process from start to finish, like even preparing. And at 5 minutes and 3 seconds, you can see this is how you put your address in. So that is something that will be done this year. But for a new construction project, generally you need to have your plans. You need to have a licensed contractor. And that contract consists of you signing as the owner, as well as the contractor signing as the contractor, and identifying the parties. From there, it goes through permit intake. Permit intakes make sure that you have all of your requisite documents. For new construction, you will need an elevation certificate as well. Once it goes through permit intake, zoning and permit intake kind of look at it at the same time, because zoning wants to make sure that new construction is allowed. So if you're trying to build a double where it's single family residential, you'll be told that you would need you could not, that's prohibited, first and foremost, unless you get a zoning change. In a similar manner, if you're trying to build a sixplex where only singles or doubles are allowed, you would need a zoning change. And that is something that goes through another process in the City Planning Commission. If you're trying to build a commercial structure where it is single family residential, you would be told that as well. Or if you're trying to build an establishment where it's not allowed, you would be told to go to the City Planning Commission to apply for a zoning change. So once permit intake says you have all of your documents, once zoning said that use is allowed at that location, plan review is reviewing your plans to make sure they are compliant with the International Building Code. That's inclusive of the electrical code. The National Electrical Code changed last year to include a lot of green initiatives. And so there are different components that you need to check. And I know you see like stickers on the window that talks about energy savings. Those are one of the things that we ensure that you understand that and you know that while going through the process. Once you've complied with permit intake and sent the requisite documents, zoning has confirmed that the use was allowed, and plan review has said your plans are code compliant. It is approved for payment. Pay for your permit, it's issued, post the permit, and billed based on the approved plans.
Listen, I was following along with you because I looked it up so I can follow along with you as you were speaking. But I do want to thank you for joining us this morning. I just want you to once again give us the information about the event that you're hosting on June the 26th. Where is it being held and what time?
It's 1340 Pardres, Suite 800. And it is at 5:30 to 7:30, and you'll meet with each division in the Department of Safety and Permits.
Thank you so much. And listen, we're just learning because the producer wrote it on the thing and held it up that you're Leo Jackson's daughter. So, so that's why we just found that out during the call. So he was holding it up to Sam. I said, "Oh, okay." So like I love your daddy, by the way. So
best daddy in the world, and so you know that work ethic.
We had to plug that real quick because folk be pretending like black men aren't good fathers. So let's be very, very clear here. But shout out to your father. Thank you so much, Tammy, for joining us this morning.
I gotta say this.
We appreciate you. Will has to say something.
I got to say this. Ms. Jackson, thank you for your service, your work ethic. I know when you came in, you got some pushback. And I'll just say, from people who didn't want to work on behalf of the public. I'll just say that. And then thank you for making things better and doing something like you're going to do on Thursday.
Thank you so much, Tammy.
Thank
anytime
you so
you
much
want to
for the
update
invite.
us
I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that shout out. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Anytime you want to join us to talk to us about any updates as it relates to the Department of Safety and Permits, you're welcome to come back on the Good Morning Show and give us an update, especially after you host your event. Please feel free to come back and give us all of the pertinent information. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Have a blessed one.
Right, have a good week.
You too. Listen, we got to go to break, but when we come back, we'll hear from Andrea Jones, the CEO of Jones Academy for Girls, right here on WBOK. We see y'all on the other side. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Hey, this is Dave Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m., bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South, right here on WBOK 1230 AM or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. There is still uncertainty this morning over if Iran and Israel will honor a ceasefire announced by President Donald Trump yesterday afternoon. This as gas prices continue to tick up here at home and across the country. Right now, the average price for a gallon of gas in Louisiana is $2.83, which is about 5 cents more than when the conflict began. WDSU is also trying to confirm if Louisiana troops are currently stationed in the Middle East possibly at or near a U.S. airbase in Qatar that Iran recently targeted. Happening tonight, an annual memorial service marking 52 years since one of the deadliest attacks on the LGBTQ+ community in America. That event comes just days after a new plaque was unveiled at the site of the upstairs lounge fire in the French Quarter, replacing one that was stolen last year. Tonight's candlelight vigil begins at 7 p.m. on Charter Street, and it will go on, rain or shine. Then, if you are still excited about LSU's national championship victory, you are not alone. And tomorrow, LSU is hosting a national championship celebration at Alex Box Stadium. The fun gets started at 7 p.m., and the public is encouraged to come out and celebrate with the team in Baton Rouge. That's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News.
Instagram,
Have a great
Facebook,
day.
and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed. Stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Hi, this is Arnie Filko. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events to sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join Carrie and I every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Carrie Show. See you soon.
Fresh produce, local flavor, and a healthy you. New Orleans East Hospital is hosting a farmers market the last Wednesday of every month from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Join us in the parking lot across from the main entrance. Support local farmers and your wellness. We'll see you there.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
We are back. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Naira Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton.
Good morning.
Right now, y'all, I want y'all to show us a little bit of grace because we have 3 young men who are learning how to work the board and answer the phones for us. We welcome all of our interns, and we have from different schools. We have one of our young men from Morris Jeff. Shout out to Morris Jeff. One of them is from L.B. Landry High School and one from Warren Easton High School. So please Please be graceful and kind when they're answering the phones because they are learning. It's only their second day, people. They are learning. And so if you tried to call in and you could not get through, please feel free, 504-582-9422 to call back because we love our listening audience here at WBOK and we do not want to miss an opportunity to engage with you. But right now, as we're waiting to engage with our next guest, we want to bring you an update.
What
as it relates to the conflict between Israel and Iran. And the current president of the United States of America is on his way to the NATO summit. Trump will be at the NATO summit through Wednesday, where the war in Ukraine and increased defense spending are on the agenda. Ukrainian President Zelensky is expected to attend some of the gathering. That's going to be interesting. But as he was headed to Air Force One to board, the press pool was out to interview him. And he said, and I quote, He said, we're basically, listen to this, y'all, lean into this. We basically, I'm saying it exactly how he said it, so it sounds weird because, no, I'm just telling you, I'm not pausing for dramatic effect. This is literally what he said. We have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the F they're doing. And listen, he did not censor it. He said the word to the reporters at the White House before taking off for a trip to the NATO summit. This is the current president of the United States talking about leaders from other nations, other countries. He said, we have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the F they're doing. Now imagine the pot calling the kettle black. Isn't that weird? Because what do we know at this point? Our whole administration is incompetent. And he has the audacity. Oh, baby, audacity is big in this White House. The audacity to say to the press that the leaders of these countries don't know what the F they're doing, but you put your nose in their business. And then then you jumped the gun and said that you negotiated a ceasefire. That one of those countries came out and said the lie detector determined that's a lie. So I believe that's why he's lashing out, because they came back and undermined it, what he supposedly is claiming credit for.
Right.
Because what ceasefire?
Right. Not exactly a ceasefire.
When people still
if even
bombing
one
people,
party is continuing, but this is both parties.
Yes.
That's not a ceasefire.
And so you posed the question during the break, what if Obama had said something like that? We can go back president after president. I don't think anyone has said anything that salacious to the media about two countries in conflict that the United States put their 2 cents in, and now you're mad because you ran to your social media to tell America that you negotiated a ceasefire, and then those countries were like,
Yeah, and on Truth Social, which is Trump's Trump-owned and operated social media platform, he wrote in all caps, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now.
I don't mean to laugh, but this can't be real, right? Is it like...
And then he did another post on there. And he said, Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect.
He also called out Iran, saying it won't be able to rebuild nuclear facilities.
Yeah.
The United States was bragging that they took out these nuclear facilities, and then the government of that country comes back and says that they had already moved their nuclear weaponry
elsewhere.
So they hit empty facilities. I wish this was an SNL skit, but it's not.
It is not. This is some serious stuff. Serious stuff.
Here's what he announced on Monday night. The parameters of the ceasefire that never was between Israel and Iran, indicating Iran would stop the fighting first, followed by Israel, and that all fighting would end in a matter of 24 hours. He expressed confidence in a Truth Social post that the end of the fighting between the two countries, which is dubbed the 12-day war, would stick. He later told NBC News on Monday night that he believed the ceasefire between the two bitter rivals would last forever. Make that make sense. So he announced a ceasefire that never was. And now he's espoused on NBC that he believed the ceasefire between the bitter rivals would last forever. So forever couldn't have been 30 minutes, huh, Will?
I guess not. I guess not. And ceasefire is like just time enough to load again. Time enough to load again. That's the ceasefire.
Listen,
And-
we were hoping that we would talk to Andrea Jones, the CEO of Jones Academy for Girls, because anytime education is on the menu, I'm gonna have a seat at the table. But Ms. Jones had a special event happening on Wednesday at 11 a.m. at the Jones Academy for Girls. She's going to hold a color run to raise money for tuition assistance because, they've lost some funding and scholarship support due to the recent changes in state support. So hopefully we'll get an opportunity to engage with Ms. Jones at some point, if not today, sometime this week, because I do want to talk to her about that. But hi, we have a guest in the studio. How you doing? Come closer to the mic. Tell us who you are.
Great. I'm Dr. Toy Thornton from Creative PR Agency, representing Miss Andrea Jones.
Oh, okay.
With the Jones Academy
All
for
right.
Girls. Yeah, hopefully we can have her back at some point.
Yeah.
This is obviously an ongoing issue, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
with the funding issues here. But the event is happening on Wednesday, so we're really excited about it.
So can you talk to us about that event? Because it's a fundraiser. So the more we talk about it, the more engagement hopefully we can get. But it's happening tomorrow?
Yes, it's happening tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
at 11 a.m. at the Jones Academy for Girls School there in Tremay. So you all know everybody does the popcorn fundraisers.
Well, yes, we know about the popcorn.
I'm sure you have
Yes.
Popcorn, the
several
cookies,
requests. Yes.
the chocolate.
Yes, yes. So this is sort of similar in the way it's going to be run. So instead of buying popcorn, you will each student has their own website, and they are able to ask people to sponsor a mile or so that they will run. And it's just a creative way to engage the students and to kind of help them lead, and also to teach them during this while trying to raise funds.
Tell me your name once again.
Toy Thornton.
Toy Thornton.
Yes.
So, Mr. Thornton, so you telling me I could go on a website and just sponsor a girl, but she's doing the running?
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's
I
correct.
I thought we had to sign up with a student and tag along.
Yeah.
No.
Now we if you want to run, you can.
I would have gladly done it, but that's even better that the youth get to participate. So each girl will have a website.
Yes.
You can log on to her website and put money into her campaign to say how far she will run. Is that how it works?
Yes. Well, you can put money towards her campaign to sponsor a mile or two, and
Okay.
of course, she's got to go those miles if she's asking you.
Because that was about to
sponsor
be
those
my next
miles.
question.
Yes.
So does she have to finish?
We would like for them to finish, but we all know, there are constraints.
Girl, you can
and-
stop running and walk as long as you finish.
Right. And it is New Orleans. Let's
Yeah.
be very clear, the
It's
summer.
hot.
So it's hot and humid. And, today, I think they said today or tomorrow, maybe some of the hottest days we have. So, of course, we're going to make sure the girls are hydrated,
yes.
and of course, as cool as possible. And if they have to
So
stop,
do you need
we'll be
water or
there.
anything?
Well, we will take all the donations that we can get.
I mean, we're asking because the WBOK listening audience they're very, very in tune,
don't know
and they
who's
listen
listening.
in. They will,
Sure.
if you tell them you need water, somebody's going to bring some water over there to the Jones Academy for Girls to make certain that these babies are hydrated as they run. But can you give us the website where we can go? Because I want to do it myself.
Yes, sure.
And-
It's the jonesacademy.org. You can go on our website or Facebook page to get all the information about this. We're really excited. And also we want people to show up tomorrow. Show up and support the girls. Cheer the girls on. And we need your money.
Well, I'm
We need those
definitely. I
finances.
want to
So-
look
sure.
at my schedule because I definitely want to come over. I'm going to log on and support it as well that way. But I do want to be out there
Yeah.
to support them. So it's tomorrow
At
for
11 a.m.
o'clock at the
at
school.
the Jones
What's the
Academy
address?
for Girls there. Let me
It's
pull
in
up
Tremay.
the
We do
address here.
We do know it's in Tremay. We can look it up. Will, can you look it up real quick? Jones Academy for
Yep,
Girls.
yep.
So we can get the address. But you can go to jonesacademy.org
Yep, I got
if
it up
you'd
right now.
like to donate to the cause.
And it
It's
is
a color
the
run to raise
and
money.
it is
The
the
Jones Academy.
Jones
The
Academy.
Jones
Yeah,
Academy.
that is
Jag.
a part of the jonesacademy.org.
Okay,
JAG
the
for
Jones
short.
Academy.
And this is a
And that's-
private school
yeah.
for young women. We serve several African American women in the city, and this is an opportunity for young African American girls, some of those who may not have the financial means to go to private schools, to be able to go to a school and get quality education. We do start with 2-year-olds, pre-K, as well, all the way to kindergarten. So those are the young ladies that we service there. And of course, we'll have all the information you need on the website about the school, as well as about how to participate in this.
1020 North Freer.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. And if you want to donate to the cause, you can go to thejonesacademy.org, and there's a donate button that you can click, and it says $25 up to $5,000 donations. There's a drop down where you can pick the amount of money that you want to donate, and it's very easy. So once you pick the amount, you just hit checkout, and it goes, I guess, to where you would put your information in. I'm going to do that before I get off the air. So I don't know who I'm supporting. I'm just going to support the cause. And I'm absolutely going to be out there tomorrow to cheer the girls on. And I could pick up some water if you need me to do that.
Great. We will take it.
Yeah, and I will bring it.
And all of this money is going to support scholarships for young ladies. You know, the state usually gives scholarships. The governor actually requested $100 million in scholarships from the legislature, but they only approved, I believe it was about 43.5 million. So obviously, there's a shortage.
You're talking about the LA Gator situation.
The LA Gator situation
that I am not 100% in support of. Let me be very transparent here, but I am absolutely in support of donating to a cause like this, because for me, as important as these sorts of schools are for a specific demographic of people and children, public schools are there to make certain that every child has access to a free and appropriate public education. And I don't, the governor, I don't care how many ways you wrap up a voucher program, I'm not in support of anything that strips funding from public schools.
Right.
That's just my take on it. Now, when you have organizations like this and people want to give philanthropic dollars, then so be it. But I don't want to uplift one entity at the expense of another. And that's all I'm saying. So I will absolutely give to support the cause, because I understand that there's a need for this. Yeah. But we also have to collectively understand that there's a need to protect the institution that is public education. And so while it may sound like on the surface that it's a thing that is going to help so many children, it's doing so at the expense of so many children. So I just want us to be aware of what we're asking for to come into our community, because LA Gator for me is no different than a voucher. It's no different than an education fund. All of these things, they've packaged them different ways. And each and every time the public rejects it. And you know why? Because if we do this, Mr. Thornton, and we only do this, then what happens to the children who can't afford this and the families who can't afford this? And let's just be real. This entity has to exist because there is a demographic of people that want this for their children, and I'm in support of that.
Sure.
But I don't want to be exclusionary to any child. This might not be the fit for every child. So what we want to make certain happens, people who love education and love children, specifically Black children, because we're in a Black city, we want to make certain that we don't have to be at war with each other. The Jones Academy for Girls doesn't have to be at war with public schools. That's why, as a pro-public educator, I'm still going to support this, because I know there are children who need that and who want that.
And we appreciate that. No matter where you stand on the issue, as you said, this is just a collective thing that we can all do and jump in on to support these young ladies in our community. And as you said, it's not going to be for everybody. In fact, we don't serve all demographics, literally just for young girls. But for those who do want to support this, and again, everybody can be a part of this kind of support.
And we want to, and
so
I promise you I'm going to support it. As soon as we take the next break, I'm going to donate. My little coin. I ain't got a big coin. I got a little coin.
We'll take whatever you can get. If it's $1, we want as much as we can.
I do a lot of
whatever
support
you
with
can
my
give
presence,
us.
and I do a lot of support with my voice, and so
that's important for our young girls to see.
I'm telling everybody that if you are able to go to thejonesacademy.org, hit the donate button, and donate to this cause. This is, and they are so cute in these uniforms. Oh my God, I just want to grab one of them and look how squishy they look.
I
They are
know,
so
I know.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wonderful thing. Shout out to the young lady who's the school is named
Andrea Jones,
after
yes.
For her vision to see the need. And again, like there are a lot of Black institutions that are Catholic in New Orleans that are legacy to families. So if you grew up in that, you understand the importance of that, and I respect it. I respect the St. Augustines. I respect the St. Mary's and all of those schools that cater to that demographic and those people who want that. But for the other folk, we have to be very, very clear about folks' intentions for our children and what they desire for public education. We have to protect it. And so again, if we partner together and we make this a collective thing, then we don't have to be fighting for the same pool of money. We just have to make certain that the institution of public education is protected, and we have to make certain that we have funding going to this institution for our girls who choose this option.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
See how easy that was?
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
Thorne?
easy. We'll take it. Yeah.
Like, I'm not mad at it at all. Like, I'm surrounded by 2600, so I have to respect the institution that is 2600, and I do. And I respect the leader of that institution. He's doing a wonderful job to ensure the viability of that school. But I also respect 4400 General Maya, right? Where
Absolutely.
we don't have the same structure in terms of the philanthropy that happens for private institutions, but we rely on state funding and governmental funding to keep those institutions up and running. And it's very much important.
That's important.
And I think when the conversation happens
people
around
want different types of purple experience.
Absolutely. That's right. because that's what real education is about. It's not a one size fit all thing. We've learned that by now. And so we don't have to battle and say that we only going to prop this up at the expense of that. No, we can say Black folk are not a monolith.
That's right.
Black folk can choose private school for their babies if they want, but Black folk also can lean on a public institution should the private entity not work for them, no longer works for them, if they've outgrown it, whatever. You have options.
And
that's what good schooling is.
It has to be available.
It has to be available. And so I'm excited about the Jones Academy for Girls. And it says where elite education meets an empowering environment. Experience personalized learning tailored to each student's needs. Join us in our mission to make a difference through tax-deductible charitable donations towards education. Y'all heard that, huh? It's tax-deductible. So go ahead on over to thejonesacademy.org and donate today. And the run is happening tomorrow at 11 a.m. on North Prairie.
1020 North Prairie Street.
1020 North Prairie. I'm going to be out there to see it. Hopefully, we can get some footage so we can show it on our page.
And that phone number is 504-290-2023, 504-290-2023. Here's something I love about your website.
What's that?
Y'all got a number just for texting.
Yes.
504-370-9585.
That's not what I love about it. If you go to the website, these babies gonna make you donate. They are so beautiful.
Beautiful.
So
They are
thank you,
gorgeous.
Toy,
Future leaders.
for joining us this morning.
Thank you all for
and
having
shout
us.
out to Andrea Jones, the CEO of Jones Academy for Girls. We sorry we missed you, but Mr. Thornton held it down, and he got a donation out of Dr. Wise. So somebody working somewhere. Listen, once again, if you want to join in on helping to fundraise for these babies, the website is thejonesacademy.org. Click the donate button and donate. We have to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the audacity of leadership. Right here at WBOK 1230 AM.
Every
what
day
is
is
talking
something.
about all day long.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
It's a hot and stormy day across southeast Louisiana. Highs in the low 90s, but it will feel more like the low 100s. Keep an eye out for scattered showers and storms throughout the day and be especially cautious. Frequent lightning is a concern with any storms that develop. Looking ahead, tomorrow could be our hottest day of the year, so get ready for the heat to crank up even more. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060. Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Just joining us, you missed the conversation with Dr. Toy Thornton, representing the Jones Academy for Girls, and he was here talking about their color run to fundraise for tuition assistance for their students. And if you're interested in donating, you can go to thejonesacademy.org. Hit the donate button. But if you want to just support them in their initiative for the run, it is happening tomorrow, 1020 North Prayer Street, New Orleans, over at the Jones Academy for Girls. That is in Treme. So please think about just showing up. I'm going to be out there, and I'm going to grab some water on the way. And baby, when you go to the website and you see these little babies' faces, they are
so cute,
so adorable. And the uniform is just cute. And Miss Jones herself is fly as well. She's on the website. So again, that is the jonesacademy.org if you're interested in donating. So congratulations again to Andrea Jones, and shout out to Dr. Toy Thornton. Dr. Thornton just reminded me that I spoke at his church for the graduate program. I absolutely did, and it was a wonderful experience. Shout out to the folks over at Thompson Temple on Whitney Avenue in Gretna. So that's where I was. So I it's a small world, right? The city of New Orleans is even smaller. But yeah, shout out to Andrea Jones over at the Jones Academy for Girls. I'll see you in the morning at 11 o'clock. And I submitted my my little donation.
All right.
That's a big donation.
TheJonesAcademy.org. 1020 North Prayer. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Yes. So before the break, we were and before Dr. Thornton came on, we were talking about the Trump administration. And if you thought I was joking, if you thought this was like some sort of humor between Will and I, it is not. The president of the United States of America was on at a presser right before he boarded Air Force One to go to the NATO summit. He basically said the leadership of Israel and Iran don't know what the F they're doing. And I'm censoring the word because I don't want an FCC violation, but he did not censor his word, and nor did the news when they aired it. It aired in its full seasoning. They allowed it to blast itself out over the airwaves, and that is exactly what he said verbatim. They don't know what the F they're doing. The article says, but he reserved his harshest words for Israel. What do you make of that? What are the implications of such a declaration by a sitting president?
Well, I'm going to help us understand the connection of something like that. not everybody has a car.
The mic.
Not everybody has a car. But those of us who have cars, we need gas, unless you have one of those electric cars.
Oh, the Strait of Hormuz, that's where we're going?
Yeah. So when we are dealing with countries in the Middle East in particular, and Iran, and they are oil rich, they control part of the world oil market. And so this kind of thing can have an impact on global crude oil. And so the market has been fluctuating. The oil market has been fluctuating like crazy over the weekend. So depending on how quickly this calms down or not, we could see an increase, a spike in gas prices. And it might not just be 5 cents.
I just think that it's very telling what we allow to happen in this country, and to have a sitting president make such a declaration about the leaders of other countries, on the media. And then the silliest thing to me too, when Trump espoused the idea that he has somehow been responsible for a ceasefire, all of our mainstream media ran with that. Mm-hmm. All of them, CNN, all of them ran with it. And it wasn't the truth. And so that puts us back in a position of, how do we know, what information do we digest? Because if it's coming from a CNN, a MSNBC, or, a CBS, like, how do we know now what's true and what's not true? How can a sitting president just say things out of his mouth that don't have any truth to it, and then the media picks it up and puts it out to the masses, and then they have to retract?
Because he is the president of the United States, and a lot of people voted for him.
But have we not learned that he still has to be fact-checked?
But who do we fact-check with? See, so let's give a comparison to previous presidents on something like this, Democrat and Republican. In the past, someone would say it's been a success. They've consulted with their military leaders, and they've decided to back up what they're about to say with some specific information, and maybe with photograph or video to show what it is that was done, that they saw live and in person happening as it was being done. And there's none of that in this case. So even if we were shown a video, we could say, okay, it's real, but what are you destroying? You can hear the president or a defense secretary say something specific about the timing and what exactly was destroyed, what was the intent. There is none of that. That's the problem. So the media is in a situation of reporting what is being said, and I use police reports again. If the police do the report and the victim and suspect doesn't do the report, it's the report that you have to go on until you have an opportunity to ask more questions.
But my question is going to remain, and you're a journalist, so I'm going to ask this question again because I want to know, if your source is proving himself untrustworthy, do you continue to just print what he's saying without giving due diligence? Because the leader of the other country immediately said there was no ceasefire. So
within 2 hours.
Right, immediately. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, if he's proven himself to not be married to the truth, no matter what his position is, do we continue to put out this information to millions and millions of people, knowing that there may not be any truth to what he's saying? Over and over, we're doing that. We're posting things he's saying, and they have no truth to him. I'm just asking.
What I don't see an alternative.
I get you. I get you, because he's the president.
Yeah, because he's the president. Yeah. Unfortunately.
So the president of China has joined the chat.
Yes.
And this is what he said, Will. The world can move on without the United States. 100 years ago, the British Empire dominated global commerce, commanding more than 20% of the world's wealth. Many believe its sun would never set. 200 years ago, France bestrode Europe's stage. Its armies feared, its culture envied. Napoleon declared himself immortal. 400 years ago, the Spanish crown reigns from Manila to Mexico, its treasure fleets groaning with silver and silk. The kings thought their glory would last eternal. Each empire proclaimed itself indispensable. Each was ultimately eclipsed. Power wanes, influence migrates, and legitimacy dies the moment it's assumed rather than earned. Should America forfeit the world's respect, it will discover what every fallen empire learned too late. The world moves on, always. Now, I have never read a more eloquent threat in my life because that's what I'm reading. What are you reading? And that is from China. The Republic of China, that is the president. His very first line said, the world can move on without the United States.
That's a heck of a thing.
We could keep being in our FA stage. China said we're going to be in our FO stage real soon. Mess around and find out, Mr. President. Look, y'all stay tuned up next for the Front Porch with Grilling and Kimber. As far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta White, my co-host Will Sutton, and my super producer Nara Sanders. We gonna see y'all tomorrow. Happy Tuesday. This is WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
See y'all tomorrow.